In the silence of an intentional retreat, the being finds a space of renewal where the soul reconnects with its essence. This period of solitude transforms isolation into a sanctuary, where each moment is lived as a ritual of introspection and surrender. Amidst the stillness, the presence of the divine reveals itself in a surprising way, awakening a faith that grows stronger with each breath. It is in this scenario that patience and confidence flourish, opening space for deep and sincere self-knowledge. The experience of recollection goes beyond a mere break from routine. It is a dive into spirituality, where silence becomes the link that connects the human to the transcendent. By shutting out external noises, we learn to hear the gentle voice of God, which guides and inspires our steps. This privileged moment not only feeds faith, but also teaches us to value the discrete blessings that present themselves at every moment, transforming the solitary refuge into an opportunity for inner refinement. During this period of conscious seclusion, loneliness stops being a burden and becomes a fertile environment for spiritual growth. Every minute dedicated to reflection is an invitation to recognize weaknesses and cultivate humility virtues that pave the path to transformation. In this scenario, isolation becomes a laboratory where the practice of meditation and prayer come together to reveal the power of dependence for a greater purpose. When embracing solitude, one discovers that the absence of distractions allows for a deeper connection with the essence of being. This momentary withdrawal from the material world allows for an experience of clarity and introspection, in which the divine acts as a silent guide. Thus, each moment of retreat strengthens the certainty that self-knowledge and faith go together, illuminating challenges and celebrating daily victories. In this sacred space, time slows down and invites you to savor calm and contemplation. It is as if every solitary second becomes a small altar where hope and divine love are built. The practice of experiencing isolation with intention allows the spirit to recharge, making the experience not only a refuge, but also an impulse for personal transformation. Through isolation, one learns to appreciate the beauty of simple moments: that silent sunrise, the gentle breeze, or the calm of a lonely afternoon. Every detail, no matter how simple it may seem, carries a teaching that feeds faith and reinforces the importance of connecting with the interior. This connection, supported by the practice of disconnecting from everyday noise, strengthens dependence on something greater and inspires us to live with more purpose. Finally, the journey in silence shows that moving away from the world can be a transformative experience, capable of renewing the mind, body, and spirit. As you learn to hear and interpret signs from the divine, you discover that isolation is actually a powerful tool for self-discovery, a sacred time where every lesson is a blessing and every challenge an opportunity for growth. On the path of divine refinement, each moment of reflection presents itself as an opportunity to refine the inner essence. Just as metal is shaped by fire, the soul grows stronger in the face of adversity. This process is not merely an ordeal, but a sacred office that invites us to deepen our faith and recognize God's hand in each transformation. Each moment of solitude reveals itself as a moment to cultivate patience, humility, and trust, allowing divine light to illuminate the most hidden corners of one's being. By accepting isolation as an essential stage of the spiritual journey, one understands that refinement is a continuous and transformative process. In this environment of introspection, each difficulty is reinterpreted as a valuable lesson, and each blessing, however small it may seem, becomes a sign of divine intervention. The experience is enriched by reflecting on biblical examples, such as that of Joseph, who faced challenges with unshakable faith, demonstrating that overcoming obstacles brings with it the renewal of the spirit. In the midst of silence and introspection, divine refinement reveals itself in a surprising way. Moments of seclusion become true rituals of self-knowledge. Each reflection and each prayer act as tools that help to recognize weaknesses and transform them into virtues. In this process, faith not only grows stronger, but becomes a beacon that guides towards a greater purpose, making each trial seen as an opportunity for inner evolution. The transformation that emerges from this process is marked by a subtle and profound change. By dedicating time to meditation and prayer, dependence on God becomes increasingly evident, and trust in the divine plan is consolidated. This spiritual refinement, in addition to purifying the soul, teaches that personal growth involves recognizing that each challenge faced is a fundamental piece in building character. Thus, isolation becomes a laboratory of blessings, where divine intervention manifests itself with precision, preparing for the next steps of the journey. Finally, the process of divine refinement invites you to embrace change with courage and faith. By realizing that every moment of solitude brings the possibility of genuine transformation, we learn to value silence and reevaluate priorities. Each small victory and each lesson absorbed add up to create a solid foundation, where the spirit is strengthened and faith is constantly renewed. In this way, isolation stops being just a period of testing and becomes a sacred time of preparation, where each experience is a step towards achieving a greater purpose. In the refuge of silence, the journey to build fundamental virtues becomes a daily work of self-discovery. Patience comes not as mere waiting, but as an active practice that teaches you to appreciate time and trust in the divine process. Each challenge faced in isolation becomes a valuable lesson, encouraging the cultivation of humility and the building of solid trust in God. The conscious practice of reflecting on feelings, whether through meditation or spiritual journaling, allows patience to flourish naturally. By recognizing that each obstacle has its time and meaning, we learn to embrace humility, that which allows us to admit limitations and seek divine wisdom. Thus, isolation becomes the fertile ground where these qualities take root and strengthen. During moments of solitude, the construction of these virtues is revealed through small daily gestures. Each act of surrender, each pause to listen to the inner voice, reinforces the trust placed in a greater purpose. In this environment of introspection, patience becomes an indispensable tool for facing challenges, while humility teaches you to value learning from each fall. By integrating the practice of silence with moments of reflection, it is clear that personal development occurs through constantly overcoming weaknesses. Trust in God solidifies as one realizes that each difficulty is an opportunity to grow. This process of inner building strengthens faith and inspires perseverance, even in the face of adversity. Dedication to building essential virtues is an invitation to transform isolation into a space for continuous growth. The daily practice of activities such as meditation, prayer, and reading uplifting texts reveals the value of patience, humility, and trust. Each small victory on this journey reinforces the conviction that self-knowledge is the first step towards a deep and lasting transformation. In each moment of reflection, introspection leads to a new perspective on oneself and the world around. Patience reveals itself as the virtue that allows you to wait for the right time for changes to occur, while humility teaches you to recognize the importance of each learning experience. Thus, confidence becomes the link that unites these feelings and strengthens character, preparing us to face the future with determination. Finally, building essential qualities is a journey that invites you to embrace growth with serenity and courage. In the retreat environment, each lesson assimilated and each moment of silence turns into a firm step towards a more conscious and fulfilling life. In this way, patience, humility, and trust are no longer just abstract virtues, forming the basis of an existence marked by faith and resilience. Every moment of reflection becomes a rehearsal for the blessings that are yet to come. This period of introspection is not just a break, but a deep investment in spiritual preparation. By cultivating patience and surrender, we learn to trust that, even when the signs seem subtle, each experience is a foundation for a future full of divine rewards. Preparing for what the future holds begins with recognizing the value of the present. In each moment of solitude, one discovers that the practice of meditation and prayer allows one to be attentive to signs from the divine. This spiritual vigilance, accompanied by a grateful heart, teaches that time is generous and that each difficulty is a seed for the flowering of new blessings. Thus, isolation becomes a laboratory of self-knowledge and hope. When embracing the journey of self-knowledge, one realizes that each challenge overcome in silence has the power to transform the spirit. Patience becomes a virtue that teaches us to wait with serenity, while humility reminds us that each step, no matter how small, prepares the ground for great achievements. This gradual construction strengthens the confidence that an enlightened future reveals itself with each new learning experience. Preparing for future blessings is, above all, an invitation to continuous transformation. In the retreat environment, the nurturing of introspection allows you to reevaluate priorities and align desires with a greater purpose. By writing a gratitude journal or meditating on the day's small victories, you learn that spiritual preparation is an active, intentional process of practice that transforms the present and opens doors to a tomorrow full of possibilities. Every gesture of devotion and every moment of reflection are building blocks for a blessed future. By investing in practices that nourish the soul, such as reading uplifting texts or participating in rituals that connect with the divine, we learn to value time and recognize that preparation for great blessings occurs in a subtle and continuous way. This routine of self-discovery and faith strengthens the certainty that the universe conspires in our favor. In the silence of isolation, each experience reveals itself as a prelude to a new stage of transformation. The daily practice of self-knowledge not only sharpens the perception of what really matters, but also enables you to identify opportunities for renewal that present themselves discreetly. In this way, patience, humility, and faith intertwine, creating an internal environment conducive to the emergence of unexpected and great blessings. Finally, preparation for future blessings is consolidated when you learn to transform each challenge into a life lesson. When looking within, one recognizes that the present is the starting point for a future filled with meaning and grace. Each act of devotion, each moment of silence, and each gesture of gratitude compose the itinerary of a spiritual journey where isolation becomes the portal to the manifestation of an enlightened destiny. This preparation invites us to live with the certainty that, by sowing faith and self-knowledge, we reap the blessings that the divine carefully reserves. In the silence of the retreat, personal transformation begins as an invitation to rediscover who we really are. Every moment of solitude becomes an opportunity to look within, recognizing strengths and areas for improvement. This journey of self-knowledge reveals that growth is not an isolated event, but a continuous process where each challenge faced becomes a stepping stone towards deeper inner evolution. By surrendering to coexistence with one's own being, one learns to value the small advances of everyday life. Practices such as meditation, reflective writing, or even a simple solitary walk help to clear the mind and reorient the heart. In this space of stillness, faith and hope intertwine, providing the courage necessary to reinvent old paradigms and embrace new possibilities. The transformation process intensifies when viewing each difficulty as a transformative lesson. Isolation is no longer seen as a burden and reveals itself as fertile ground for inner flourishing. The experience of facing challenges without the distractions of the outside world allows humility and resilience to consolidate, paving the way for genuine and sustainable growth. As you delve deeper into this journey of self-discovery, you learn to recognize the importance of celebrating each small victory, each moment of overcoming whether mastering a fear, accepting an imperfection, or the simple act of persisting contributes to the construction of a stronger and more conscious self. This transformation does not happen overnight, but is revealed as a result of daily choices and constant self-improvement practices. Isolation becomes a powerful catalyst for change. By silencing the noise of the world, it gives space for the mind to reorganize and the spirit to replenish itself. This reconnection with yourself allows you to identify what really matters, consolidating confidence and determination to move forward on a path marked by personal evolution. Every moment of solitude is a page in the story of transformation. By allowing challenges and blessings to reveal themselves in their entirety, you begin to realize how much it is possible to reinvent yourself. This constant reinvention, fueled by faith and the practice of self-knowledge, leads to a life of purpose and meaning, where each experience contributes to a more complete and resilient self. True transformation and personal growth manifest when change is accepted as an integral part of the journey. In the comfort of isolation, each lesson becomes a tool to build a more authentic version of yourself. Thus, personal growth not only redefines the path, but also inspires us to live with more intention, faith, and passion, opening doors to a future full of new achievements and achievements. In the silence of the retreat, the practice of detachment reveals itself as a ritual of inner renewal. Letting go of what no longer serves you is recognizing that transformation requires space for the new. By releasing habits and influences that weigh us down, the path is open for a spiritual pruning that frees us from the bonds of the past. Each act of detachment becomes a gesture of self-love and faith, allowing the essence to renew and flourish. Practicing detachment teaches that spiritual pruning is not a loss, but a gain. This process shows that for something new to emerge, it is necessary to let go of what impedes evolution. In isolation, this conscious choice strengthens the connection with the divine, revealing that each cut in old convictions is a step towards discovering a more authentic version of self. In the environment of withdrawal, detachment becomes an invitation to introspection and reevaluation of priorities. By abandoning the superfluous and old ties, space is made for new blessings to manifest themselves. This spiritual pruning, carried out with patience and discernment, allows us to recognize the value of what remains, reinforcing confidence in what really contributes to growth and evolution. Each act of renunciation and isolation is an opportunity to restructure one's inner life. Through detachment, one learns that cutting out what is unnecessary makes room for light and divine inspiration. This practice strengthens faith and teaches us to embrace change with humility, recognizing that renewal requires courage and determination to let go of what no longer contributes to well-being. The ritual of detachment manifests itself in the simplicity of everyday gestures. Whether through organizing thoughts in a diary or silence that allows you to reflect on the past, each liberating action transforms the internal environment into fertile ground for rebirth. The practice of spiritual pruning thus becomes a path of self-knowledge, where each renunciation reinforces the certainty that the new always flourishes where there is room for change. When learning to let go, one discovers that true power lies in the ability to be reborn with each cut. In isolation, this practice becomes a constant exercise in reinvention, in which faith and patience come together to allow transformation to occur naturally. Each gesture of detachment reminds us that inner growth requires the courage to let go of what holds us back, paving the way for the manifestation of a greater purpose. Spiritual pruning is consolidated as a rite of passage that invites you to live in a lighter and more conscious way. By embracing detachment, it becomes possible to identify and value what really matters, allowing the blessings of the divine to reveal themselves in all their fullness. Each act of detachment becomes a milestone on the journey towards true freedom and the realization of a life aligned with spiritual purpose. In the silence of retreat, true resilience comes from the ability to transform each challenge into an opportunity for growth. The experience of isolation reveals inner strength, demonstrating that, even in the face of adversity, it is possible to reinvent oneself and move forward with courage. This resilience manifests itself as a flame that illuminates the paths, encouraging us to face obstacles with determination and faith. Each difficulty overcome in coexistence with one's own being reinforces the conviction that inner strength is built day after day. In the environment of introspection, one learns that adversity is a silent teacher, whose lessons shape character and improve the ability to resist. By transforming pain into learning, one realizes that resilience is not just about resisting, but about evolving from each experience. The journey through isolation teaches that faith and trust in a greater purpose are fundamental to cultivating inner strength. By facing difficult moments with serenity, we learn to recognize that each fall is an invitation to rise stronger. This persistence connects with a spiritual dimension that encourages us to continue, even when challenges seem insurmountable. In the refuge of silence, the constant practice of introspection allows you to rebuild your inner strength. Patience reveals itself as the virtue that sustains the journey, while humility teaches that growth occurs from the acceptance of one's own limits. Each small victory, celebrated with gratitude, strengthens the certainty that it is possible to transform adversity into a blessing. Inner strength is consolidated when you learn to look inside and recognize your ability to overcome. In isolation, each challenge faced becomes a step towards building a more resilient self prepared for the future. This journey of self-knowledge reveals that true victory lies in knowing that, even in the most difficult moments, there is an inner light to start over. The retreat environment invites you to embrace impermanence and understand that crises are temporary, but the learning they provide is eternal. By transforming each obstacle into a stimulus for rebirth, one discovers that resilience is, above all, an art of living with authenticity and courage. Thus, inner strength manifests itself as a living testimony of the blessings that emerge from overcoming. Ultimately, resilience and inner strength are revealed when you turn adversity into growth and pain into inspiration. In the silence of isolation, the journey of self-discovery teaches us to value each experience as a step towards a future of renewal and hope. In this way, the internal fortress becomes a beacon that lights the path, guiding with confidence and determination to face life's challenges. In the silence of retreat, divine fidelity reveals itself as a secure anchor, guiding even the most turbulent journeys. Each experience lived in isolation shows that God is present in a subtle and constant way, demonstrating that his loyalty transcends the challenges of everyday life. By recognizing the signs of this fidelity, faith is strengthened and purpose is aligned with a greater plan, where each blessing becomes a living testimony of divine love. When diving into introspection, one realizes that the presence of God manifests itself in every detail of existence. Isolation invites us to contemplate the grandeur of the divine plan, revealing that each challenge faced is a fundamental piece in the construction of character. Thus, dependence on God not only renews faith, but also illuminates the path, confirming that the purpose of life is intrinsically linked to his guidance. Each moment of reflection on the retreat is an opportunity to recognize the fidelity that accompanies each step. This certainty of not being alone strengthens confidence and inspires us to face adversity with serenity. The practice of prayer and meditation becomes a channel through which the voice of the divine is heard, guiding the steps and renewing the commitment to a greater purpose. In an environment of silence and self-knowledge, we learn that God's faithfulness manifests itself in the form of blessings that arise even in times of trial. Patience is revealed in waiting for the exact time of divine manifestation, while humility teaches that one is part of a carefully orchestrated plan. Each difficulty, no matter how challenging, turns into a lesson that reaffirms the role of the divine in life. By recognizing the constant presence of the divine, it is possible to embrace spiritual transformation and renewal. God's faithfulness becomes the beacon that illuminates the course, revealing that the true purpose of existence goes beyond earthly challenges. In this way, each blessing received is a confirmation of the unshakable love that guides, strengthening the conviction that the path taken is the right one towards a full life full of meaning. Ultimately, the journey of recognizing divine faithfulness teaches that God's purpose unfolds in life in surprising and continuous ways. In isolation, each lesson learned and each victory celebrated reinforces the certainty that one is guided by a greater plan, where faith, humility, and trust come together to build a future full of blessings. Thus, divine fidelity becomes the link that connects desires to the realization of an enlightened destiny. At the end of each introspection cycle, you are invited to reflect on how God's faithfulness transformed the journey. Each experience, no matter how simple it may seem, proves that the divine operates with love and precision. This perception not only strengthens faith, but also encourages us to live with gratitude and purpose, certain that each step is guided by a destiny filled with light, love, and renewal. In the whirlwind of daily obligations, where the incessant noise of the modern world often disconnects us from our essence, isolation appears as a transformative portal for spiritual renewal. In the midst of chaos, stillness becomes a unique opportunity to look within and reconnect with what really matters. This intentional pause is not just a withdrawal from the world, but an invitation to embrace introspection and prepare for the great blessings that the divine has in store. By allowing yourself to immerse yourself in silence, you discover that each moment of solitude becomes a practical lesson in patience, humility, and self-knowledge. The retreat experience reveals that behind the apparent loneliness, there is a path full of teachings and opportunities to transform challenges into steps towards a fuller life, aligned with a greater purpose. This sacred space, far from being a burden, becomes a fertile ground where faith is strengthened and the spirit is renewed, opening the doors to the manifestation of unexpected blessings. When reflecting on each teaching and experience lived during this journey of isolation, it is clear that this moment does not represent an end, but the beginning of a journey of profound transformation. Every moment of silence, every challenge overcome, and every blessing revealed serves as a foundation for a life of faith and purpose. Isolation appears as an invitation to rethink priorities, make space for renewal, and embrace change with courage and gratitude. True transformation manifests itself when time of solitude is converted into an opportunity for self-knowledge and evolution. By cultivating virtues such as patience, humility, and trust, one discovers that each difficulty is a step towards achieving a destiny illuminated by the divine presence. Thus, isolation is no longer seen as a period of absence and becomes a portal to future blessings, reaffirming that each step taken in silence is an impulse towards a full life full of meaning. Now, the invitation is to take these teachings into everyday life, allow yourself to grow, transform challenges into opportunities, and embrace the certainty that the divine walks alongside. Every small gesture of faith, every moment of introspection, and every conscious decision to align with a greater purpose are fundamental steps towards building a future filled with light, love, and renewal. May this journey inspire the journey and lead to an existence marked by faith, resilience, and the countless blessings that await.